told you we're designing the house and everything else. And yeah, it's cold. 75 and windy today. A little nippy. Anyway, you know, this is about education and the education system as a whole. Years ago, I don't know if I told you this or whatever, but when we first moved to Vermont, we were doing farming, and because we were just starting out, I needed, restarting out with the farm there, we needed income coming in. So I went to the state and said, you know, what would it take for me to be a certified teacher so I could get a job? And they said, oh, well, we can use this and your life experience and da, da, da. So I got to be a certified math and science teacher. In like one summer, I took some graduate courses, I took a bunch of other courses, boom, certified, done, had a job that fall. Basically, I had the job before. They said, if you get all that done, we'll guarantee you got the job. So I got the job, I did that for a little while, and you know, I'd always felt this way even since I was younger. But we don't all have to be doctors, lawyers, dentists, architects, whatever. We need people who can build things. We need electricians. We need people who can weld things. We need all kinds of those trade jobs. And you know, I see that getting worse and worse because and maybe that's just old age setting in, but I used to see it back then. And even when I was a teacher, I was only 3 years, by the way, I said, you know, a lot of these kids don't, they're not going to be a doctor. They're not going to be a lawyer. So why couldn't we put them into programs that were more suitable for them to actually learn stuff? Basic, you know, how to deal with money, how to build a house, how to do concrete work, and then they could, as they went along, expand on that because they would be interested in it. You know, not every kid is interested in finding out why the planets do certain things and how this one's made out of gas and this is, they're not interested in that. So you can't keep their attention. But if you can find something like that and teach them to start working and developing a trade, and as they get older, then you can take those kids and then they'll have a career they can do something with. They can make a wonderful living, support themselves, their families, whatever. But no, our educational system is based on everybody's got to go to college. And I've always felt that was wrong. You know, I had argued even when I went, because when I went to college, I went for business administration, management. And at the time, I was already managing a ski shop. And, you know, I used to get into arguments with my professors about how their theories didn't actually work in the real world. And that's a whole nother topic. But I had said back then I would have rather have taken the money I would have spent on college and put it towards a business because I thought that would do me better good. But my parents didn't think so, even though I paid for college. Anyway, I went. Did I learn much? No, I really didn't. It was through working, and I think that's what we need to get back to, is that not everybody, and it's getting worse and worse. I mean, I have a nephew who goes to Yale. I think it's like $75,000 a year just to go to school. I mean, it's insane. What's going to be by the time my grandkids, you know, who are 5, 6, that kind of range, when they get to be college, what's it going to be, 150 grand a year? I mean, it's ridiculous. So instead of pushing all these people to go into those jobs, there's got to be a movement to have people who will develop a trade, learn other skills. We need all those people. Without those people, who's going to build the buildings? Who's going to take care of the electricity? Who's going to take care of the air conditioning stuff? I mean, if you think of all those little, let's call them mundane type jobs, And nobody wants to do them anymore because everybody just wants to sit on a computer or sit in an office because that's easy, it's less straining and all that kind of stuff. What's going to happen? I don't understand. And a lot of the jobs that, sort of your restaurant, whatever kind of jobs, those are going to disappear. It's already happening. So when those jobs disappear, what are those people going to do? If they had skills across the board, and I just said restaurants as an example, but when that happens, what's going to go? And you're going to need people to do certain other jobs. I would say in the next 10 years, I wouldn't want to be an accountant. That's one of the jobs. I don't think I'd want to be in the food industry. Accountants can be replaced by, computers that can do the job. Somebody just has to input the data. Boop, done, thanks, okay? So there's a need for actual workers, people who get their hands dirty, people who go out and dig and all kinds of labor type jobs that are hard. Yes, but you can make some pretty good money. I don't care where you are. If you're an electrician in New York or you're an electrician in Vermont, you're still going to do pretty darn good compared to a lot of other jobs. Are you going to work? Yeah, you're going to have to work for that money. But if we start training kids to say, okay, you're not the academic type. You want to get out there and build a table, or you want to learn about electricity, how it works. And then you keep expanding that as they get older. You keep them interested in what it is and what the potential is at the end of the goal. If you look at so many kids, they just sort of float through, and there's no goal, there's no end in sight. So, I don't think I'm alone in that thinking that we need to change the way we educate people, and I advocated back then. I tried to get a program when I was a teacher to set up in another place where, these kids would learn the basics of science and math, reading, that type of thing. But then a fair amount of the day would be dictated towards other career paths. And I was a teacher in middle school, so this was 5th, 6th, and 7th, and 8th grade students that I taught. And you could see it in these kids already, that, some of them were very interested. They were academics. But others, it was like, it was just, if it was even going that far. But if you got them into some other type of, and you'd see that, because I used to do like a popsicle stick bridge building competitions and those kind of things, where they wouldn't realize they were using math and different other things so that they could start to see. But unfortunately, I stopped teaching, and it wasn't because of the kids. It was more because of the parents and the administration stuff. What was one of the final straws that made me stop teaching was I had this boy in my class, and he had a really terrible home life. Everybody can do it. Mother and father both drank, did drugs, terrible household. And here's this kid, he's 8th grade. He's not a big kid. And he'd come in every day. Most of the time he'd be miserable, he'd cause trouble, blah, blah, blah. He was too young to understand, okay, that crap happens at home, I'm at school now, I have to do a different thing. There wasn't that segregation of stuff. So he constantly got in trouble at school. And I took him aside one day, and I said to him, look, here's the deal, okay? You're not going to do any work in my class, right? He says, nope, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing homework, I'm not doing any of those things. I said, okay, fine, great, no problem. So here's the deal. You come to my class every day, and you just sit there. Don't cause any problems, okay? So I don't have to send you out. You don't have to go sit down in the principal's office or whatever. I'll give you an F and fail, and all will be okay. He said, okay, that sounds like a good deal. So the other teachers got wind of this, of what I had said to him and everything else. And they were like, you can't do that, da 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 da. And I said, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Does he go to your class? No, he doesn't go to our class because he just causes too much trouble. So I said, when he's not in your class, how much is he even potentially taking in? Well, nothing, he's not there. I said, exactly. So at least if he's sitting in my class, he might pick up on something, he might learn some little bit, he might gain some interest. So isn't that better than sitting down in the principal's office because you kept him down there? They didn't totally agree. And, you know, it was things like that. And I was like, no, this is nonsense. The education system is just off the wall. Here was a kid who, and he did, by the way, as he sat there over the months, he did start to participate. I mean, he never did any homework or anything, but at least something was getting in there. Maybe something would spark, something that would interest him, and then he'd move on it again. But without being there, how's it going to interest him? He never even heard it. So I gave up on teaching, and I still have the same feeling. It's the same thing here in Eleuthera. A lot of these kids don't see the value in education in any regard whatsoever. So they just sort of slide through, they get out, and then it's like, what do I do now? So I think education has to change. Will it? I doubt it.